What is going on, Guardians, and welcome back to another Destiny gameplay video. In this video I want to talk about sticking it to the meta, so to speak. And I'm thinking about this because right now I'm looking at a list of guns, and this list of guns that I'm looking at shows percentages of kills in the Crucible that are attributed to specific weapons in the game. And the sad thing is that there are only a handful of guns on this list, and then the rest, not another gun in the Crucible even comes close to touching the same amount of kills or being even in the same hemisphere of kills represented in the Crucible. There's just a handful of guns right now that consistently outperform the others, and I've said it a number of times, that's not a player problem, and I can't blame a player for using the weapon that's going to give them the best chance of coming out on top in the Crucible. That responsibility to make sure that there's weapon diversity doesn't rest on the shoulder of the players. It rests on the shoulders of the devs. So we can encourage them to make some changes, but in the meantime, I can also encourage you guys, thinking back on the era of the Thorn and Last Word where they were grossly overpowered, it took so long for us to get a patch that changed that, and there were literally months of people saying that we need change, and we didn't get it, and they had a lot of other things on their plate, and I understand that, but at the same time it did make for sort of the dark ages of the Crucible, and I would hate for us to sort of relive that in any sense. They said they wanted to give each gun their sort of time to shine, and I think it's time to maybe restore a little bit. I think my biggest issue here is that I think that a lot of people look at this list of guns. Here's a list of guns that I'm looking at, the weapons that are consistently outperforming the others. You have the Last Word, you have the Might of Multi-Tool, you have the Doctrine of Passing, you have the 1,000-Yard Stare, and you have the Party Crasher and Conspiracy Theory D. And these are the weapons that are on top, and then none others even come close to touching those percentages. And the only reason that Thorn isn't on that list is because this list is for playlists with light level advantages enabled. So Thorn would be on that list if this was, if this took into account standard Crucible playlists. Because I'm seeing a butt ton of Thorn these days. But anyways, so it's not that some of these guns are too strong. I think that a couple of them are, but for the most part, Might of Multi-Tool, a lot of people say, nerf the crap out of this thing. I'm so tired of seeing it. Well, Might of Multi-Tool is not overpowered. The problem is that the legendary primaries in this game are too weak. Might of Multi-Tool is actually in a great spot. It's a very consistent gun. There's nothing grossly overpowered about it. It doesn't do too much damage. The exotic bonuses aren't, overly dramatic. It's just a consistent gun, a gun that can consistently perform well. The problem is that no other legendaries are doing that right now in the game, except for the Doctrine of Passing. It's the only legendary primary that's on the list. A lot of people saying Doctrine of Passing is OP. No, Doctrine of Passing is as effective as a legendary primary ought to be. So I think what we need to see happen is, in order to restore weapon diversity in this game, is we need to see those legendary primaries sort of buffed a bit. Too many times we just say that the problem is that things need to be nerfed, and when that's not necessarily the case. Some things are actually in a good spot. They just seem like they're better than everything else because other things are too weak. So we don't want this game to be incredibly slow-paced. So what we need is some stronger primary legendaries in this game, and restore that balance. And similarly, some people say snipers or shotguns are overpowered. It's not necessarily that those things are performing too well. It's that primaries are just struggling to keep up with them, and they should be able to. So anyways, that's my opinion. Let's get a stronger primary game, and I think that'll balance things out significantly. But in the meantime, until the devs sort of figure out, obviously I'm not in there playtesting, so my opinion should be taken with a grain of salt. But while we leave them to their to their work as they playtest changes and try and refine things and make our experience better, in the meantime, I would encourage you guys, if you want a fresh experience, the Crucible is going to get dull if all we do is continue to rely on the strongest things in the game. If we have our set loadouts that include these top 5 weapons, then eventually that's just going to get stale. And I know it's not necessarily the gamer's responsibility to make the game fresh, but at the same time, there are a lot of things that we can do to make our experience better and exciting, on a daily basis. At timeout, I want to show you guys this play. This is hilarious. So I jump up into the window to challenge this guy, get a couple shots off on him. Now he bounces a grenade off that door to try and tag me with it. And then, so I'm just standing here waiting for it to go off. And then he decides to push through the door. And it walks literally right on top of it. It launches his body up into the ceiling. Yeah, I was cracking up. So anyways, if you want to have a fresh experience in this game, start pulling out some other guns that have been sitting in your vault. Or maybe pick up some new ones from the arms dealer, the gunsmith. And just play around with them. Try and create some new relationships, if that makes sense. Get back out on the market, put yourself back out on the market, and get into a new relationship with a new gun today. I've been having a lot of fun kind of going back, revisiting. If you remember back when TTK first launched, if you were watching my content back then, I used this Vanity hand cannon quite a lot. And I sort of picked it back up, and remembering why I loved it so much. Now it did get hit with that nerf, the hand cannon nerf, and that's a bummer. But it's still pretty effective. I was in a couple of pretty sweaty matches in 3v3 the other day, and this gun, if I'm landing my shots, can really keep up. And it was a full team of last words, 2 last words and 1 doctor passing. We ended up winning, and I went positive, and it was a good experience. So you can still have a lot of fun, and these guns can be effective. Maybe you'll have to rely a little bit more on your creativity and your gun skill while using them. But is that honestly a bad thing? Like I said, I'm not going to guilt a player for using a gun, even if it's thorn of the last word. Honestly, I can't blame the player. That's not your fault if you like to use those guns because you get more kills with them. I mean, I understand that, but at the same time, mix it up a little bit. Have some fun with this game. Make a fresh experience for yourself. Get in a new relationship. I mean, I'm pulling out. Well, here I won't name the name of the gun. Do you remember the name of this HMG? I almost never use heavy, but I've been using Super Good Advice a lot lately, and I whipped this baby back out of the vault. And this one's is honestly a fantastic HMG. I'm surprised I still don't see too many of them. A lot of people using Ruin Wake. It's sort of comparable. This one, I still like this HMG a lot more than Ruin Wake. But anyways, I've also been running around with some different sniper rifles as well, using my Waylorn's March, using my Glass Promontory. Here's the Glass Promontory right here. No, sorry, this is the Waylorn's. Listen to what I mean, not what I say. I'm so sorry. But I've been playing around with my Defender as well. And that's another thing. If you want to get a fresh experience, pick up a subclass you don't use much and try and make a new relationship with it. Yeah, it's good to go online and look up effective builds, but at the same time, it's more fun to me to kind of experiment with the skills myself and try and generate my own subclass and kind of tweak things to my liking and have a subclass that wasn't offered up to me by someone's opinion, or you know what I mean. So that can be a fun way of sticking it to the meta instead of playing the strongest classes. I'm not saying this to guilt anybody, but the strongest classes in the game right now are obviously Night Stalker and Sunsinger. They are the strongest classes. So now I actually haven't been playing my Sunsinger lately, or at all for the last several months until this past week. I picked it back up, and I have been having fun with it, but I don't play it the same way that most people play it. I generated a build that suits my style, and that's how I play it. And I went up against another streamer this week, and after the first round of trials, he goes, "Well, I wasn't expecting that when I saw he was the Sunsinger," and that's the whole point. So, anyways, I hope some of this was helpful, guys. I hope to see you guys mixing it up. Let me know in the comment section what your sort of fresh gun or subclass is going to be, and we'll catch you in the Crucible.